So the first thing about building a repeatable sales process is while there are, certain frameworks and things that are consistent across every business, no two businesses are the same. So you have to make sure that you're building a process that makes sense for the company you're at. And further, the same company is different year over year. So the organization itself has to make sure it's adapting. Standardization is key. I came from when I was at Pardot. If it didn't live in Salesforce, it didn't happen. And that's something that I brought over to QA Symphony with us. So right when I got there, I realized, they had Salesforce, but they weren't using Salesforce. People weren't logging things consistently. Stage progression wasn't being tracked appropriately. And so, the first thing we did is create a sales playbook that made sure and outlined the requirements for the sales department to make sure that they were, following appropriate protocols. Because if you can't track it and you can't measure it, then you can't make improvements. So from an operational standpoint, one of the things that we treat the sales cycle, we treat it like a product. And so, we've coined it, product revenue. And, I hired a revenue operations leader, and that's something, just as a side note, is extremely important to a business, is to make sure that you can convince your CEO or the organization of the importance of having, a Salesforce guru if you're using Salesforce as your CRM, and having somebody that's fully dedicated to operations out the gate. But that said, again, one of the big requirements is that they are essentially the product owner and the product manager for the sales revenue cycle. And so we do gap analysis work. We have a backlog of things that we're working on. We have a roadmap of areas for improvement. And so we really, we incorporate Scrum into the way that we manage that process. So you should, be doing, semi-annual gap analysis. You should be looking at, what are things that the sales team needs. I mean, the sales team is essentially your customer. So you should be auditing them, asking them questions, seeing where are operational efficiencies and gaps inside of the product, which you call revenue. And by doing that, I believe that we've found really good success in building a machine that's repeatable, predictable, and is generating great revenue for us.